I gave up my status as a privileged heiress to join a reality dating show for him, but he'd rather share a partner with someone else than choose me. On camera, he held Sarah, the newcomer actress, his eyes gentle. She's not perfect, but at least she's genuine. Online users/commenters in the livestream comment/chat feed cursed me, calling me fake, bitchy, manipulative, saying I had financial leverage/buying power but no heart. He called out to me from across the filming area. Didn't you want to experience a regular person's love? This is the price. I gritted my teeth and smiled elegantly. Hope you two end up together. Then I turned and called his mother, Aunt Martha, using a placeholder name. You saw it. Your son doesn't like me. That billion-dollar deal? My family won't sign it anymore. After hanging up, I watched Robert and another young actor with a pretty boy image coldly, desperately trying to impress Sarah, the newcomer actress. They competed to carry suitcase, wash dishes, and tie her shoelaces, their faces plastered with fawning smiles. Meanwhile, I, Robert's childhood sweethearts and fiancé, had never received such treatment. For years, I'd been the one chasing after him. Seeing him insecure about his family background, I practically begged Dad to help lift his family's corner store business into the billion-dollar company it was today. He, in turn, became the center of attention/everyone doted on him, second-generation rich kid. Both our families intended for him to marry me and take over the family business, but he insisted on his own way/stubbornly pursue his path, wanting to make a name for himself in the entertainment industry based on his looks. I understood his desire to prove himself. I eagerly invested in this reality dating show to help him debut, deliberately hiding my identity as an investor. I stood with a bunch of scantily clad, cheap-looking C-list celebrities, trying to act cute and coy/play innocent. I never expected to be treated this way by him. I leaned back on the lounge chair, under the sun umbrella. The makeup artist had just finished touching up my makeup and hadn't gone far. In my earpiece, I heard the director's low, urgent voice, Ms. Olivia, the camera's on you. Do you want to cooperate and show some emotion? I curved my lips. I've become an insignificant extra. Now, let them have their fun. With that, I pulled out my phone and opened the trending headlines on the financial news channel. Hashtag EtherCorp withdraws investment. Hashtag subsidiary Sue Enterprises terminates partnership with Summit Holdings. Reality dating show sponsorship likely to change hands. I closed my phone with satisfaction and continued to watch the three of them act out their little scene. Sarah, the newcomer actress, still didn't know who invested in the show. She was nestled in Robert's arms, smiling gently and generously. Robert, you're the best to me. Unlike some people who only use their status to pressure others. Can we keep trying after the show ends? Robert looked at her and comforted her softly. Of course. A girl as pure as crystal like you is truly who I want. We were always a better fit than others, weren't we? Yeah. She glanced back at me, a subtle curve to her lips. Unlike some people who think throwing money around can't buy love. In that moment, the live stream comment/chat feed in the production booth exploded. Is Olivia treating this reality dating show like her personal harem selection? Clinging to our Robert shamelessly. Financial leverage/buying power can't buy love, okay? Get out of the show! Stop polluting our Robert's pure eyes. Robert, run. Who would want this controlling, psycho heiress? She deserves to be scorned by every man in the world. Sarah is sweet, soft, and sensible, a million times better than her. I smiled faintly and said calmly to them, you two don't need to put on such a heartfelt performance for me. I have no interest in watching this moving solo act. Don't worry, I'll leave right away and won't be an eyesore anymore. As I turned to leave, Robert's cold, familiar voice came from behind me. Olivia, you're not actually mad, are you? What I have with her is just scripted, just putting on a show/playing a part. Are you taking it too seriously/overreacting? I stopped and slowly turned back, my voice so soft it was almost devoid of emotion. I know. You two put on a good show. I'm just tired. With that, I walked out of the filming area without looking back. Behind me, someone quietly screenshotted that financial news channel trending topic and sent it to Robert's WeChat. Only when he saw the words EtherCorp withdraws investment did his face truly change. I had just returned to my room and hadn't even removed my makeup when the door was pounded on violently. I slowly opened the door. Robert's face was dark, his phone still in his hand, the screenshot of the financial news channel trending topic clearly visible on the screen. Olivia, are you crazy? What does withdrawing investment mean? I didn't speak, just leaned against the doorframe watching him rage. He was a completely different person from the gentle boy who used to call me Livy. Seeing me silent, he gritted his teeth. Just because I didn't choose you on camera? Just because of a couple of online users/commenters live stream chat/comments, you're going to ruin my entire show? Just as he finished speaking, before I could say anything, Sarah gently knocked on the doorframe, her voice trembling and aggrieved. Livy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I really didn't. Please, please be lenient. Give us a chance. She was wearing a thin nightgown/slip, tears still in the corners of her eyes, without even reapplying her makeup. She dropped to the ground and knelt at the door. I raised an eyebrow and looked at her coldly. What are you doing? The director's script was like that. Robert and I really don't have a priv. 8 relationship. The momentum is just starting to build. If you withdraw the investment, the show might really be ruined. She spoke while kowtowing. I know you hate me, but please, let Robert finish the show. He really wants to debut, this is his dream opportunity. Robert frowned and quickly pulled her up. Why are you kneeling to her? She's not worth you kneeling to. His expression grew even uglier, and he turned back to yell at me. Look at you, still throwing your privileged heiress tantrums whenever things don't go your way. Do you think the whole world revolves around you? Seeing my eyes welling up and about to cry, he suddenly reined in all his anger, putting on a facade of deep affection. He walked over and put his arm around my shoulder. All right, Livy, I know you support me the most. What I said just now was just in anger, right? My Livy is the best behaved. Before he could finish, I violently pushed him away. Such a familiar script. The push and pull tactic/playing hot and cold. A trick he'd used for over a decade, always successful, but now it was starting to lose its effect on me. Robert, haven't you recognized reality in a long time? He froze. I looked at him, my voice cold and devoid of emotion. Do you think I'm still the Livy from college, who would plead desperately/humble oneself to the director, using family connections to pull strings/get roles for a small part for you, and still plead humbly/humble oneself after got yelled at and mocked? Back then, he looked touched and said, don't worry, I'll definitely get famous for you someday. But now, he's famous by stepping on me, topped the trending charts, praised by everyone online, and he still wants me to sacrifice my dignity to keep funding his little flings act. I'll reconsider the investment withdrawal. I turned to close the door. You two go back and figure out how to be decent human beings. Robert slammed his hand on the door, about to explode, when his phone rang. On the other end of the line, his mother's voice instantly screeched, Robert, are you crazy? Olivia is withdrawing the investment? Do you know how much influence her father has on the group's board of directors now? If you dare ruin this marriage, forget the show. Whether you can inherit what little family business we have is questionable. If you can't appease Livy, then go back to the corner store and start selling items at the corner store, symbolizing a return to humble origins. Robert froze, his face alternating between red and pale. He hung up the phone, looking at me with a complex expression, a flicker of resentment and unwillingness in his eyes. For the next round of the show, you're partnered with me. I raised an eyebrow. Oh. He forced a stiff smile. The reality dating show format can't be messed up. Besides, we're a real couple. I smiled lightly. Then let's play along. After all, aren't you best at that? As soon as the pairing list was announced, the show's live stream comments/chat feed instantly boiled over. Aw, the melodrama is coming. Childhood sweethearts paired up. What about Sarah? Isn't she Robert's crush? Honestly, I think Olivia is too intimidating. Poor Sarah, the shared villa/house mission is for 2 days, the director announced with a smile. The camera will be recording 24 hours a day. Please cooperate. I stood in front of the vintage villa outside the filming shed, watching Robert reluctantly drag 2 suitcases inside, as if he were carrying some unavoidable burden. You sleep in the master bedroom, I'll take the couch, he said chivalrously, but a hint of unmistakable disdain flickered in his eyes. I didn't speak, just walked to the kitchen and opened the cabinets to prepare food. As I was rummaging for a spatula, Sarah's voice abruptly cut in. Livy, let me help you. She smiled and came in carrying 2 bags of groceries. Robert and I just bought them at the market. You might be tired from cooking, so we came to help. Aren't you paired outside the villa? I raised an eyebrow. The director said we could visit other houses appropriately. She smiled innocently, but then expertly dumped the cilantro/coriander I disliked most into the pot. Oops, sorry. I picked up the spatula and turned off the stove. No need. You can go outside now. With the camera right in her face, she bit her lips slightly, her eyes turning red. I really just wanted to help. Robert loves cilantro/coriander, I thought you did too. Robert came in just then, saw the cilantro/coriander everywhere, and frowned. Do you have to be like this? Sarah was just trying to help. Do you always have to act like such a haughty, bossy heiress? He turned to Sarah and said, don't take it to heart. She's been like this since she was a kid, too stubborn, spoiled. I scoffed and continued cooking, not looking at either of them the whole time. The next day, when the edited version went online, the scene of me coldly chopping vegetables in the kitchen was zoomed in on. Sarah said to the camera with teary eyes, Livy is just working too hard, she's actually very kind-hearted. The comments were full of sarcasm. She's too intimidating, who could stand it? Sarah is so sensible, how can there be someone like Olivia? Olivia must have bought her way in, she's terrible at acting. I scrolled through the comments and slowly turned off my phone screen. At lunchtime, Sarah appeared again in the garden/yard of our shared villa/house, wearing a white dress that accidentally matched Robert's outfit. The director exclaimed excitedly, what a coincidence! Let's have you two take a picture together, pure white couple style. Sarah smiled and linked her arm through Robert's. Livy, you don't mind, do you? You're just paired up right now, not officially a couple. Robert didn't pull away. Instead, he looked at me, meaning I shouldn't offend the director. I looked at them and smiled faintly. Of course. Let me know when you're done. I happen to have the contract addendum ready to sign. Sarah blinked. What contract addendum? Oh, I said, smiling as I took out my phone. To remove the marketing expenses for your Pure White Lovers series from the sponsorship. Didn't you say you were just scripted, just putting on a show/playing a part? Well, now I don't want to pay for that script anymore. Sarah's face finally changed. Robert looked even more furious. Olivia, how long are you going to keep making a scene? I've already endured and humbled myself to this extent, teaming up with you wasn't enough? What else do you want? I looked at him, expressionless. If you want to withdraw the investment, then withdraw it. Don't act so superior. Do small celebrities like us who work hard deserve to be treated like this by you? He panted with rage, as if he had suffered a great injustice. What do you mean? I raised an eyebrow. You say you're small celebrities who work hard? Robert sneered. Yeah. Girls like Sarah, you look down on them, right? She's hardworking, she's dedicated, she doesn't rely on family background. What did she do wrong? Just as he finished speaking, Sarah suddenly rushed in, her eyes red-rimmed, and slapped herself hard across the face. Livy, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have been delusional, I shouldn't have gotten close to Robert, her voice trembled. She ripped off her white dress, leaving only a sexy bikini underneath. Tears streamed down her collarbone as she knelt on the ground, sobbing. Call me trashy or cheap, I deserve it. Just please, don't have me blacklisted/banned from the industry, don't ruin my only path. The live stream chat/comments' popularity instantly peaked. What kind of crazy woman drama is this? But I actually cried. Sarah is truly wronged, she's clearly been enduring it. Olivia, you really can't win people's hearts, leave the show, Sarah darling, Dawn. Cry. You didn't do anything wrong. Please let Sarah go. Trending headlines surged again. Hashtag Sarah cannot bear humiliation. Neil's half-naked crying for forgiveness. Hashtag Olivia the heiress turns ruthless. Withdraws investment publicly. Hashtag Robert rages for his lover. Protects his true love. Hashtag. The next second, my secretary sent me a screenshot of an emergency internal company announcement. My father's group stock had turned from green to blue, dropping by nearly 4%. I sneered. So that was their plan, to use such a despicable tactic to force me into submission. Fine. I looked up at Robert, my tone calm. After all these years, helping your family go public, getting your family members onto the board of directors, helping your mother enter high society, my family has made a lot of money for yours, hasn't it? If you truly like her, why don't you sponsor her yourself, Mr. Robert? Robert acted like his tail had been stepped on, and even more unwilling to lose face in front of his little mistress, he retorted stubbornly, sponsor her then. What's so great about it? My expression changed, and I snapped angrily, you wouldn't dare. Robert, if you actually invest in her, don't blame me for canceling the engagement. Seeing me threaten him with the engagement, Robert was even more disdainful and disgusted. He immediately called his assistant and put it on speakerphone, withdraw all the deposits in my account. I'm going to support their ship/chair for their pairing for me and Sarah's ship/pairing. However, his assistant's hesitant voice came from the other end of the line, young master, the only accessible asset you currently have is the operating rights to a small corner store. Robert stared intently at his phone screen, scrolling page by page through his wallet app. When he reached the end, only that familiar notification remained, current account balance, 0 yen. Even his credit card limit had been frozen. What kind of nonsense did you tell his mother again? He suddenly looked up, his emotions close to collapsing. I shrugged, my tone indifferent. I told her that if you dared to invest in her, our engagement would be immediately cancelled. Didn't Aunt Martha, using a placeholder name, already tell you? If you can't appease me, go back to your family's corner store and start selling items at the corner store, symbolizing a return to humble origins. His expression was as if he had been slapped. That phrase corner store cut through his facade of being a second-generation rich kid like a knife. Sarah was still kneeling, her eyes red and swollen, her cheeks red and puffy from the slaps. She seemed to want to say something, but couldn't utter a single word. Robert's eyes flickered. He looked at me in disbelief. Livy, you're not really thinking of canceling the engagement, are you? I looked up at him, my smile indifferent and decisive. You two only have a corner store left now. Why don't you go there to film a segment of couples selling instant noodles? Maybe you can gain some public sympathy. With that, I walked away from the camera without looking back. The camera flickered. Robert stood rooted to the spot, as if suddenly awakened from a dream. It turned out I was truly leaving him. He stood there stunned for a few seconds, looking at the departing figure, and suddenly felt a panic he had never experienced before. But before he could chase after me, he heard Sarah give a soft sob. He subconsciously looked down and saw her collapsed on the ground, her hair disheveled, her eyes wet, her graceful figure fully exposed. He hesitated for a moment, then reached out and helped her up. Sarah, don't cry. I'll take you back to your room. The livestream chat/comments went wild. Robert is truly so gentle. Whoa, Sarah, don't cry. Having Robert is enough. This must be true love. Sarah, like a wounded fawn, whispered softly, thank you, Robert. But Robert didn't respond. His eyes, however, looked past Sarah towards our villa. The door was closed. Late at night, I changed into a robe, removed my makeup, and was about to take a bath when I heard several knocks on the door. I ignored it and slowly lit the scented candle by the bathtub. After 2 seconds, the knocking resumed, much softer this time. I walked to the door and opened it, seeing Robert in a white t-shirt and jeans, his hair messy, like a homeless person who had wandered onto the wrong set. When he saw me open the door, he seemed to exhale in relief. Livy, he tried to soften his tone, but his words came out uncontrollably fast. I didn't mean that, I was just impulsive. I leaned against the doorframe without speaking, my face expressionless, but my eyes were extremely cold. What do you want to say? He looked like he had stepped on a nail, unsure whether to stand or retreat. After a moment's hesitation, he said in a low voice, "When you said that just now, I truly thought you didn't want me anymore." I let out a cold laugh. "You're only realizing that now?" He fell silent, and after a long pause, squeezed out a sentence, "Livy, I apologize, okay? I was wrong, but you know I only ever had you since I was little, and you're the only one in my heart." As he said this, he felt embarrassed himself, but for some reason, his eyes turned red. I looked at him, feeling like someone had torn a gash in my heart. But more than that, I felt clear-headed. "Robert, it's not that I don't love you anymore," I said slowly. "It's that I've finally learned to love myself." The door closed with a bang, shutting out all his explanations. When I came out of the bathroom, a staff member from the production team happened to knock on the door, saying the director had arranged for Robert and me to continue the second phase of the Deep Understanding mission. I changed into a gentle light blue long dress and applied makeup that subtly softened my features. The person in the mirror looked sweet, harmless, and gentle. Just like what the audience likes, as they put it. Now it was my turn to turn public opinion around and become the audience's favorite female contestant. This was the true female lead script. "Oh, right," I said casually before leaving. "I have some behind-the-scenes footage of Sarah practicing. It should be suitable for a blooper reel." She kept saying she was afraid of being misunderstood as too artificial and wanted to show some realness. I handed a USB drive to the staff member. The content was Sarah yelling at the makeup artist while removing her makeup in the makeup room, "Don't use cheap foundation, makeup, on me. I want that soft focus look on camera, not a low-budget / unrefined stream, implies poor quality makeup / look." The staff member was stunned. Are you sure we should air this?" I smiled sweetly. She said she wanted realness. They actually aired it, even adding the gleaming golden words behind the scenes bloopers. On the day it aired, the live stream comments / chat feed's tone instantly shifted. "Didn't she always go for the natural look? She's so fierce, talks so mean." Suddenly feeling a bit uncomfortable, I watched the trending headlines quietly climb, my mood calmer than ever before. I didn't tear her down, didn't manipulate comments, didn't issue a statement. But the audience was already starting to feel disgusted. After dinner, Robert came again. He stood at the door of my villa, holding 2 cups of hot lemon water, and knocked 3 times before whispering, "I know you're still angry. I spent the whole day calling people to try and get investors. If you want to withdraw, that's fine, I'll fund the show myself. Livy, it's not because of Sarah. I really don't want to lose you." He swallowed the words "I love you" and replaced them with a cautious request, "I want to court you again, okay?" I didn't take the water, just looked at him. Without speaking. Just then, high heels clicked in the distance. Sarah was here again, wearing a pure white cardigan and floral dress, saying gently, "Robert, I made dinner. Do you want to try some?" Her voice was soft and pitiful. Robert subconsciously glanced towards me, then replied without turning his head, "No need, I've eaten." I watched the smile on Sarah's face crack. She stood frozen, her eyes dark but not daring to show anger, only able to lower her head and walk away awkwardly. I chuckled softly, turned back, and said to Robert before closing the door, "Mr. Robert, if you want to court someone, you at least need to clear away the weeds around you first." He froze for a moment, then immediately understood what I meant. An awkward smile tugged at his lips. "She's not important anymore." "Then good luck," I said. After the door gently closed, I went back inside, opened my email, and sent a set of anonymous tip/report materials, screenshots of evidence regarding Sarah's alleged casting couch scandal / slept for roles transaction 3 years ago at a certain low-budget film studio / set, including but not limited to, her signed contract, screenshot of transfer records, and a blurry audio recording where her voice could be identified. I attached a sentence, "I heard you like realness. Then please judge for yourselves which one is the real Sarah." I didn't send it to the media, only to an anonymous account submitting to a notorious gossip site. I didn't plan to stay up watching the public reaction, but my phone wouldn't stop buzzing at 3 a.m. My assistant called, her voice barely containing her excitement. "CEO Olivia, trending headlines is on fire. All of Sarah's dirt has been exposed. The retweet count is even higher than when you announced the investment withdrawal. I opened the trending headlines list. The first few terms that appeared made me almost burst out laughing. Hashtag Sarah ResourceGate, hashtag casting couch scandal confirmed, hashtag Purima G backfires, hashtag. Below them were the blurry transaction audio recording, screenshots of Sarah's handwritten signed contract, and a comparison chart of bank statements anonymously submitted by a mysterious account. The comments under the trending headlines were also incredibly satisfying. Holy crap! This isn't the Sarah I imagined, the pure, innocent type, as an image, turned into a manipulative phony/fake innocent type, online insult? Feels like even her crying is scripted. Should have believed Olivia earlier. If the production team still tries to defend her, I'm reporting them to the regulatory body. In just 3 hours, public opinion completely reversed. The production team frantically deleted posts and controlled comments, but they couldn't stop the screenshots from data platforms. The more they deleted, the faster it spread. Sarah's fans went from guardian angels to disgusted with myself and collectively unfollowed her. I put down my phone and let out a long breath. The next morning, as I stepped into the makeup room, I saw several staff members who had previously been passive-aggressive towards me immediately stand up and bow. "Good morning, Ms. Olivia." I glanced at them faintly and nodded. "Don't use that low-budget/unrefined stream, implies poor quality makeup/look, type of foundation, makeup, on me today, like Sarah used." The entire room paused, then erupted in laughter. At noon, Dad called and said only one sentence, "Olivia, well done. The stock has stopped falling, and public opinion is back on our side. The board of directors just approved your proposal. The cooperation with Summit Holdings, you'll handle the negotiations." I nodded, my gaze drifting past the balcony towards the filming area in the distance where Robert and Sarah were having a chance encounter. Sarah was wearing a baseball cap, her head down the entire time, her eyes vacant, as if half her soul had been drained. Robert, however, was visibly cold. He pet off his microphone and roared on the spot, "Have you been lying to me all along?" Sarah flinched and quickly explained, "Robert, I really haven't. That audio recording was set up. I don't know how that money got into my account." "Then how do you explain the records of you and that assistant director going to the hotel?" Robert's eyes were red, his voice hoarse. "Have you been acting this whole time? Do you know I almost canceled my engagement with her because of you?" He didn't finish his sentence. His eyes shifted and looked towards me in the distance. Our gazes met across the space. He suddenly ran towards me like a madman, rushed to my side, and grabbed my hand. "Livy, I was wrong, truly wrong. I just realized that the one I love has always been you. Can you look back at me? Don't cancel our engagement, please." I didn't pull my hand away, nor did I speak, just looked at him indifferently. He seemed to be possessed. He hugged me and whispered, "I don't want Sarah anymore, I don't want her. I only want you now." I scoffed ironically, "Now you know how it feels to have got cheated on?" His eyes jolted, and his voice dropped even lower, "Livy, I truly only have you left. I'm sorry. I'll definitely be a good husband, and a good dad to our children in the future. Believe me." Ignoring Robert's desperate grip, I calmly pulled my hand back and walked calmly into the show's meeting room. Several senior executives were standing there, holding an emergency meeting. When they saw me enter, they all stood up in unison. I sat down unhurriedly and took out a contract. "Ether Corp is officially resuming investment, but I want to participate in the show's editing and content decision-making, especially regarding Sarah." The director hesitated. "That might not be appropriate." I smiled, took out a tablet from my bag, and opened the screenshot of the bank transfer records between Sarah and the assistant director, as well as the audio recording of her cursing fans and using a body double for camera shots behind the scenes. "I think you wouldn't want a second wave of trending headlines, would you?" The director's face turned pale instantly, sweat breaking out. "Ms. Olivia, just tell us how to edit, and we'll do it." I gently closed the folder and leaned back in my chair. "Let's start by editing her to appear as someone with a pathological obsession with fame/virality. They nodded frantically. That afternoon's updated content was personally reviewed by me. On camera, Sarah trembled before the camera, yet still forced herself to say, I just wanted to be famous, I was just too afraid of being forgotten. Live stream comments/chat feed quickly flooded in, this is the crazy manipulative bitch, right? She acted so genuine back then, now she's just disgusting, suggest taking it down, don't pollute the platform. Sarah was completely ruined. And to save itself, the production team not only adjusted her from main cast/lead contestant to assistant observer, but also temporarily added a notice, Sarah will temporarily suspend participation in interactive tasks due to personal condition. Her camera time began to decrease, and eventually she disappeared entirely from public segments. When I appeared again, the background music had changed. Everyone's attitude towards me shifted from disdain to cautious fawning. Even the live stream comments/chat feed were scrolling, she's the real heiress feel. I suddenly feel like the show is boring without her as the main cast/lead contestant. The moment Olivia returned, the whole show's vibe improved. I knew the time was right. That night, I arranged to have dinner with the head of another capital company in the entertainment industry. I want to invest in a microseries focused on female growth, I said, pouring wine. Positioned on how mature women can rebuild their careers and relationships and achieve self-redemption. Their eyes lit up instantly. You want to be the main cast/lead contestant yourself? I smiled, slowly swirling the wine in my glass with my long fingers. I'm not here to be the main cast/lead contestant. I'm here to be setting the rules/controlling the game. 5 minutes before the final episode began filming, Sarah unexpectedly showed up on her own. Her eyes were red-rimmed. She was wearing a pure white dress and the same pair of high heels she claimed to have worn for her first red carpet. She really knows how to stick to her old persona. Her voice was tearful, as if she had suffered a great injustice. Livy, please, I know I was wrong. I really didn't mean to hurt you. I don't even know what to do anymore. I glanced at her. Stop your attempts to gain sympathy. Are you here to ask me to be lenient, or are you planning another performance of fake sisterly affection for the camera? She bit her lip. I just hoped we could finish the last task properly and save face for each other, okay? I ignored her and closed the door. But my intuition told me she wouldn't give up so easily. Sure enough, just 10 minutes into filming, the camera suddenly experienced signal interference, and the live broadcast briefly cut out. The feed resumed 3 minutes later, but the content was explosive. On screen, Sarah was slumped on a lounge chair, clutching her stomach, her face pale. The director looked anxious, she just drank the juice from Olivia's cup. Another assistant director whispered, someone reported that Ms. Olivia put unknown pills in the juice. I sneered and pulled out my phone, opening the backup camera app one had set up long ago. I shoved the phone screen directly at the director. You see who touched the juice first. In the video, while I was washing my hands, Sarah opened the bottle cap herself, poured a packet of powder into it, and then practiced her crying repeatedly in the mirror. The director's face turned deathly pale, sweat pouring down. This. I stared at him, my voice calm. If you want to ruin the show, go ahead. That evening, I kindly anonymously submitted this video to a gossip site. The trending headline stayed at the top for 3 days, hashtag Sarah fakes her own downfall hashtag, below it were a string of harsh comments, she's not crazy, she's just utterly disgusting, does she really think the audience is stupid? Olivia didn't even touch it, she didn't do anything. This time, the production team didn't defend Sarah anymore. Instead, they temporarily announced that Sarah has withdrawn from the show due to personal health issues. When she was escorted out of the villa by show security, she was practically dragged. I stood on the second-floor balcony, watching that the pure, innocent type, as an image, rot away completely from the spotlight. The look she gave back finally wasn't one of grievance or fragility, but the hatred of a poisonous snake. I smiled. I wasn't afraid of others hating me, I just feared she didn't hate me enough. The final episode of the show was the couple's confession segment, according to the planned flow. When it was Robert's turn, he bowed his head in silence in front of the camera for a long time, then suddenly spoke, everything I'm about to say is unrelated to the production team's arrangements. It comes from my heart. He looked up at the camera, his eyes red-rimmed, his voice choked. I was foolish enough to think that through this staged show, I could prove my so-called worth, that I could become famous overnight. gain the influence to stand alongside Olivia and make her see me again. But I was terribly wrong. I personally lost the most precious person in the world. The camera cut to me. My expression was calm, and I didn't say a word. He became more agitated as he spoke, his voice filled with regret and despair. In this show, from beginning to end, the only truly clear-headed, truly powerful one was her. What I want to say is, Livy, I still love you. I truly still love you. Marry me. With that, he took out a ring and knelt before me, proposing marriage. Live stream comment/chat feed went wild. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This must be a real confession. Robert, are you finally clear-headed? Olivia, say yes. I didn't say yes or no. I simply stood up, a faint smile on my face. Thank you for finally seeing me clearly. The production team was stunned, the scene was silent. Everyone thought I would turn back. But I added softly, but you saw it clearly too late. On the day the show ended, I stood on stage, accepting the award for Most Popular Female Contestant from across the web. The spotlight shone on me, like a crown made for me/my rightful place. Behind the scenes, a staff member whispered, CEO Olivia, Ether Corp's integrated acquisition of those two artist management companies has been successfully completed. The board of directors awaits your leadership tomorrow. I nodded, my gaze sweeping across the guests below the stage who had acted around me, stepped on me, and watched me coldly. Now their eyes darted away, not daring to meet mine. I announced that a new reality show was launching, one that I would lead, cast, and edit. The slogan for the first episode had only one line: this is not a stage for you to compete over. This is my domain/the territory I control. In that moment, I was finally not a princess to be chosen. I was the queen giving orders. Just as everyone was cheering, Robert burst into the backstage area. He looked insane, his hair messy, his eyes red-rimmed. He stood before me, his voice hoarse. Livy, I truly know I was wrong. I'll quit the entertainment industry and go back with you. I'll do anything. As long as I can stay by your side, as long as I can watch you. I didn't turn around, just smiled faintly, a smile with a hint of pity, but more distance. Robert, our fate together has ended. The person you are now, or perhaps the person you've been all along, you were never worthy of me. Before, I was just blind and delusional enough to fall for you. Please don't appear in front of me again. He dropped to the ground with a thud, his eyes scarlet, tears mixed with regret rolling down, his voice broken. Livy, please tell me, do you truly have no love left for me at all? Even just a little bit. I looked at him, my eyes calm and unmoved. Word by word, clearly and cruelly. Robert, do you know what the biggest failure of your life is? It's that you were always immersed in self-pitying fantasy, thinking the world revolved around you, that everyone would go through fire and water for you, that they would be completely infatuated with you. But the reality is, in this world, the people who don't need you, who even detest you, are far more numerous than you could ever imagine. I walked away without looking back. Behind me, he finally stopped chasing. The penniless Robert finally understood that he wasn't abandoned by me. Rather, he had never been worthy of me. After being eliminated, Sarah was unwilling to be blacklisted/banned from the industry just like that. She gritted her teeth and handed the audio recording and photos to the paparazzi, exposing her old sponsor/sugar daddy behind the scenes, the third major shareholder of Summit Holdings. She wanted to take a gamble and drag me down with her. But she didn't know that that sponsor was someone I had personally sent to the regulatory investigation body. See notes. As soon as the news broke, Summit Holdings stock hit rock bottom. Sarah became a market disruptor/financial liability. That day, entertainment companies collectively cut ties/distanced themselves from her. Before she could react, I put another story on trending headlines, #Sarah's scandalous private life, questionable pregnancy, suspected involvement with multiple producers #. This time, Sarah's career was completely ruined. She was thoroughly blacklisted/banned from the industry and could never recover. A few days later, she miscarried, collapsed, and was photographed on the street kneeling and begging for water, disheveled and disoriented/not in her right mind. She became a homeless woman on the street and later completely disappeared from the public eye. Meanwhile, Robert's family went bankrupt/financial collapse and was burdened by debt. Their last mortgaged corner store was also assets seized by the court. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, my laptop open, signing a new acquisition agreement. My assistant smiled and handed me coffee. CEO Olivia, for next week's Financial News Channel magazine cover story, the suggested theme is Rebirth/Phoenix Rising, Clear-Headed Queen/Calculated Queen. What do you think? I looked at the city lights outside the window and smiled faintly. Queen? That hat is too heavy, and too easily defined. Let's just write 8 words, from beginning to end, I never lost.